Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to all of you to our today's session about the new ENS requirements hosted by the Shuttle Freight and Getlink Customs Services. A little bit of housekeeping before we start, as it's a virtual session. I don't need to talk about fire alarms, but this session will be recorded. We will publish the session, but not the Q&A part in the end. But we will type the questions and answers and circulate that separately. So everybody who asks questions, just be relaxed, just ask what you want to ask. This is a year of anniversaries. Eurotunnel has just turned 30. That means 30 years of innovation and a huge contribution to European transport industry by unlocking the EU-UK trade. Whilst we remain the #1 choice on the short strait, just a little reminder to our strategy that is built around 3 pillars. The first one, and most important, is speed. The transit time needs to be as low as possible to enable a very fast and efficient crossing for you. Care, that means driver facilities, the driver club and loyalty program that we offer. We've just recently brought coffee back on board, and it's the small attention to the drivers who is becoming more and more important in the years to come. And the last but not least point is the simplicity, which is digitization and the new services around that. Since Brexit, we've been leading the way with border pass, and we keep developing new services to support transport companies and hauliers, forwarders or shippers, depending on who's relevant to manage the documentation. And this is a very important bit of our today's presentation. This is also why Getlink Group, our holding company, has decided to help its customers to manage all the formalities and will continue with future challenges. We have built a dedicated business unit, which is called Getlink Customs Services. And as you may know, this contains also channel ports. Channel ports has been turning 50 this year. Well, we've been talking about anniversaries earlier. And since early 2024, Channel Ports has become part of the Getlink Group and is now part of the Getlink Customs Services. This helps us to scale our services and to offer more simplicity, thanks to automation, dedicated expert teams, both in UK and France. So let me now introduce the speakers of this afternoon, which are part of the Getlink Customs Services, and the team that will remind you of some key elements about the imminent introduction about ENS being the 31st of January. So this afternoon you will speak to Rodolphe Henry, our sales director, Lucien Bourdon, our customer success manager, and Tom.sommer, the director of Channel Ports.
Thank you, Carsten, and welcome everyone. Judging by the number of attendees, there's obviously a clear appetite to find out more about ENS and how Getlink Customs Services can support the market. There is a calendar clash at the moment. There's a BIFA webinar going on, so it is really nice to see so many attendees here today. Right, safety and security. Safety and security is an anti-smuggling measure and provides risk analysis to the border authorities. Safety and Security GB is the entry summary declaration service for goods imported into Great Britain from the rest of the world and the European Union. For goods imported from the EU, ENS was originally scheduled for, I think it was July 2022, and then this got postponed to, I think it was end of last month, end of October, and then obviously keeping to form, another delay was introduced. But it will become mandatory from the 31st of January 2025. End of January next month, it does become mandatory. Now, although you can use a third party to make the ENS submission on your behalf, the legal responsibility of the ENS filing lies with the carrier or the haulier. So in the case of unaccompanied goods, this will lie with the ferry operator, and for accompanied goods, the responsibility will lie with the haulier. Goods covered by ATA or CPD carnets are exempt from ENS, provided they're not carried under a transport contract. Okay. Now, if you want to submit the ENS yourself, you'll need a government gateway account in order to get a GB EORI number. Okay, you can only get a GB EORI number provided you have a government gateway account. And unlike GVMS, there's no user interface. So ultimately, either you develop the software in-house that can communicate with the SNS GB service, or you utilize a third party such as ourselves. The ENS declaration itself involves 20 mandatory fields, and these are security critical. These include the consignor, consignee, consignment data, dispatch country, location code of entry, etc., etc. The safety and security GB system does not support multiple consignments under one declaration. So therefore, a declaration per consignment is required. That means you'll receive one MRN for each consignment. Now, in terms of timings, we're focusing on Ro-Ro here. For the ferry, it must be no later than 2 hours before arrival at the GB border. And for the shuttle, the submission must not be later than 1 hour before arrival at the Le Coquel terminal. Okay. In terms of amendments, if any information changes, such as quantity of the goods, you can amend the declaration at any time until the goods arrive at the border. But once submitted and accepted, you will be provided with an MRN per consignment. There is an option to include the ENS MRN within GVMS. However, this is not compulsory. Maybe in the future, but at this moment in time, it is not compulsory. And then the dreaded non-compliance, in terms of repeated non-compliance, we understand that enforcement such as additional checks and penalties could be incurred. But we'll just have to wait and see on that. Now, Rodolphe, I'm going to have to share my screen. I'd like to give you a live demonstration of our sandbox, the Customs Pro ENS sandbox, to give you an idea of what it's like using our system. For many of you are very familiar with Customs Pro, and as Carsten mentioned, Customs Pro, the three pillars of Customs Pro is speed, simplicity, and accuracy. So what we've done with the ENS application is stick to those three pillars. We've made it a very simple system to use. Before I get going, we do ask that when you're entering the data, you use data from the European Export Declaration, so not a commercial invoice, but the data from the European Export Declaration. Okay, so I'm going to give you a demonstration. So this is, as I said, this is our sandbox. It's web-based. This is not the official live system. It's the test system. So I'm going to show you a test to show you how easy it is to use. So safety and security into the UK, primary contact. This is the individual within your organization that wishes to receive the MRN. Okay, you do have the facility to add additional parties within the company. So I can include colleagues as well. Okay, I won't do it today. Customer reference. Again, this is also, if you hear an ENS declaration requiring an LRN, the local reference number, is what we're asking for is the customer reference. Now, this is your reference for the particular job. Vehicle number, trailer number, nationality of vehicle. So we'll do Italy. Doesn't like Italy. There we go. Is your company physically transporting the goods? Yes. If not, you enter the carrier's details, you'd include them here. Like Customs Pro, for customs declarations, it's compatible with all UK ports, okay? We will keep it simple. Calais to Dover. Dispatch country, Italy. Therefore, the country of transit in most scenarios will be France. Does it have a seal? If it does have a seal, enter the seal number. Expected date and time of arrival. And then we have the option of a drag and drop facility. I have a dummy export declaration that I will use. Save and auto process. Okay, that is now in draft status. Now, there are 3 ways of communicating data through the system. You have the user interface, you have an API, and you have drag and drop. Now, what I'm going to do, whilst the drag and drop is validating, I'm going to do another declaration, this time using the entire user interface. So this is the manual way of doing it. Again, very simple. Primary contact, I'm just going to do a repeat. Trailer numbers, as you can see, trailer number is not mandatory this time. Okay, but now this time, instead of utilizing the drag and drop, I'm going to add the consignment data. Okay, so let me explain. Again, many of you understand the terminology already because you're familiar with Customs Pro. UK trader, this is going to be the consignee. Partner name, that's the consignor. Okay, so UK trader, and we should have one pre-filled. No. Helpful. I will need to add a new one. Here we go. Okay, our transport charges being paid by invoice. Obviously, in most scenarios, yes. For those that aren't, you have these following options, but 9 times out of 10, they'll be being paid by invoice. Now it's about entering the consignment data. Okay, package type. Obviously, package, pallet, case, carton, whatever it is. Leave it as package. One package, commodity code. Furniture, and 1,000 kilos gross weight. Save and complete. If I had additional consignments on that load, if I had more than one, I'd simply add further consignments in. Okay. For the sake of this demo, I will just save and complete. This quantity code's not correct. Okay, that's done. Now, if I go to my previous, as you can see, the one where I did the drag and drop, it's pulled from the export declaration that I sent to the system. It's ripped out that consignment data. Now I just simply save and complete, and that is done, that is gone. And in a couple of minutes, I'd expect to receive a copy of the report along with the ENS MRN. Okay, so I'm going to go back to shipments. Now, as you can see, it's been accepted. And if I go to print, this is what it will look like. Okay, so you have your MRN there. Now, remember, you have one MRN per consignment. However, this export declaration that I used had 2 consignments, but I've only got 1 MRN. We are about to do another further update to the system. So as you can see, there's 2 consignments here. So in future, there would be 1 MRN per consignment. Okay. Now, as you can see, so what I've demonstrated the drag and drop functionality, and I've demonstrated the user interface. But as I mentioned earlier, we also have a fully functioning API. For those API details, you can find those on our website, along with a full list of FAQs. Now, what I'll do, I'll stop sharing my screen. I'll take questions later about the use of the system, and then I'll pass over to Rodolphe.
In our portfolio, we have different ways of generating ENS. The first one is manual entry, as demonstrated by Tom. You will have to enter manually the informations related to the load itself and the ones related to each different consignment if you are doing some groupage. The second way is a drag and drop feature. You simply have to drag and drop the export documentation. If the document contains more information than necessary, we will sort it out and keep only the relevant parts for the export. No need to rework your documentation before submitting it. We could accept PDFs as well as JPEG or PNGs. This is a real time saver. No need to rework the documentation coming from your own customers. You just need to ensure that there is an export document included in. The last method is APIs. So we have for you 2 types of API. The first one allows direct data entry. If you are already handling customs for your clients, you can use this API. The second API accepts export documentation and will analyze and recognize the data before submitting the ENS declaration. In all of the solutions, you will get the ENS MRN numbers as well as the printable version included in all the data submitted to the HMRC. Again, all the solutions we use are based on the same ENS engine. So whatever the kind of data entry you are using, behind you will have the same result. When you are a Eurotunnel Le Shuttle Freight customer, you can have access to a combined offer called Board Pass Easy. This offer combines initial bookings and the production of ENS and GMR. For our customers, it's just a matter of activating this option and uploading the export documentation as demonstrated before. We then generate the ENS and GMR for you. At the same time, you are making your bookings online. At last, as Tom explained, you can use Customs Pro to make your GB imports. And along with your imports, you are able to generate your ENS. In addition, we offer a comprehensive range of services, including clearances in the UK, France, and Europe, as well as Regime 42 for arrivals in France, as an example. All those services will be compatible with the European requirements to produce ENS and envelope logistic that will become mandatory since April 2025. Finally, all those services are available 24/7 with the permanent support of our support team.
Please feel free to get in touch, whether it's about ENS, whether it's about customs, whether it's about Border Pass Easy. More than happy to have a chat. We don't have long now until the 31st of January, and obviously we've got sort of Christmas season in between. So please get in touch. And obviously, we encourage everyone to make the preparations now. Very good. Okay, well, thank you everyone for attending and for the questions. Thank you for your attendance, and hope to hear from you soon. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye. Bye.